Welcome to the Akashic Records screencast. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what it is and my experiences. So the Akashic Records is a recording mechanism at the etheric level. It records pretty much everything that has ever existed. People say that it records your thoughts, so it's obviously going to record your physical thoughts, like the movements of electrical charges in your brain, because it has no problem recording something like the physical world and all of its matter movements. But when it comes to the thoughts of your higher self, the thoughts of you when you're unembodied, then who knows if it can actually do that. Because whenever people go to the Akashic Records, they're typically not going to want to get information regarding the thoughts of somebody who's not embodied. I never read about this. Usually people bring up thoughts of people who are in the physical world, but never non-physical beings. Typically it's that. So I'm not sure if it actually records pure thoughts, which is basically a intense subset of feelings like emotions and stuff. It's very detailed, like infinitely detailed. It's way different from like brain thoughts. So I'm not sure if it actually records that. I haven't actually taken information back from these kind of thoughts, but I have with the other type, and I'll get into that later. So the Akashic Records is typically going to appear to you as a library. For me, it appeared to me as an advanced memory unit, because I am a software engineer, and that's closer to what it actually is. So when you visualize it as a library, it's just you trying to make sense of it and trying to visualize it in a way that it's not completely intimidating. So unfortunately, when you see it as an advanced memory unit, it's larger than life, pretty much. Like, you go in, I basically went into this huge, infinitely large sphere, and there was all these entities around the edges of this sphere, and they're looking in at the center of the sphere. And at the center of the sphere was this odd looking object. This thing was larger than anything that I've ever felt or seen in the astral world, and it was glowing blue, and it had this cage thing around it that was a bit more curvy than what it was here, but it was like I was attracted to it like a bug, and I was just like moving in towards it, and I actually wanted to go inside directly in the middle of it and immerse myself in all of the information it contains, because I didn't really know what it was at the time. And of course there was this woman governing the information. She was kind of humanoid, kind of not. She could have been on Earth at one time, but it seems like she hasn't been there for a while. She was very advanced, and what she basically said to me was that if I immerse myself in this information, that my consciousness will expand to the extent that I won't be able to properly live through my human life. So she basically said that I would expand so much that I would immediately ascend out of my human body, and my human body would die, and I would not be able to propagate through life as expected. So I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I don't think she would have let me anyways, because that's part of her job being there, is to govern, make sure people don't take in too much information, but get the information that you need. A lot of people describe a single woman around the Akashic Records, like helping people and stuff. I haven't heard about any stories where there was more than one woman, more than one person governing this data. I haven't heard about a man ever doing this ever. So that's interesting. And this woman, she wasn't nice or anything. She was just very straightforward about everything, and she was trying to work as efficiently as possible. I guess she was dealing with a lot of entities at the time. I'm sure a lot of people feel that this woman is focused on their own individual, but I'm sure that if an advanced being is governing something like the Akashic Records, they're going to be dealing with like several thousand humans at once. Anyways, I eventually got information from this Akashic Records, this huge construct in the middle of nowhere, and it felt like I lived through 3 months of about 3 or 4 different lifetimes. It's like living in different dimensions. And apparently none of my lifetimes or possible lifetimes are better than the lifetime that I have now. And I think part of the experience was to tell me that I should just be thankful for my current circumstances. It wouldn't be much better if I were to do things differently. So I also went to the Akashic Records another time, and I decided to take myself to something simple. At the moment I was learning how to use a Rubik's Cube, and I decided to take myself to a place in the physical world or physical record where somebody has completed an extremely complex Rubik's Cube in a short amount of time. This was definitely done at a competition, because when the person was done with the Rubik's Cube, they would place it on a table and, pick up another Rubik's Cube and complete that. I didn't really know what was going on at the time, because I didn't really know about the Rubik's Cubes competitions when they are presented with all these different cubes, but that's basically what was happening. And I could hear his thoughts. Basically, it was a guy, and all these numbers were running through his head, and I couldn't comprehend the numbers and how he was thinking. So you can go into the Akashic Records and get information that's very pure, but if it's logical, like how our thoughts are in the physical world, you might not be able to pick up on it. If it's intuitive, like natural and stuff, then you're probably going to get information effectively. It's going to make sense. But when I was going over the recordings of this guy completing a Rubik's Cube, it was very confusing. That was just a very simple experiment that I did with the Akashic Records. You can go here however many times you want, really. I honestly, whenever I get into a projection, I always forget to go here. I only prompt to go here every, couple months, to be honest. And another time I went into the Akashic Records, I saw myself as a single cell organism. This felt really weird. And that's all for this video. See you later.